Don't be harsh. Always be considerate. Never unfaithful. Be respectful. We must be gentle. Cherish your wife, man. Your flesh is going to be contrary to almost all of these. There's a lot of men in the Bible that offer advice as far as what we need to be as husbands. What I want you to do is, as you start following the King, watch your wife change. You watch her change. It's unbelievable. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Art of Suffering podcast with Dalton Darnell. Oh, it's Monday's episode. I didn't really know what to do this episode on, but there's been one thing that's kind of been weighing on my heart pretty heavy the last 2 weeks. About a year ago, I sat down and I had Google tell me all the Bible verses that had to do with being a husband. And I wrote down this big list of responsibilities for a husband. And about 2 months ago, I did another podcast with Morgan Puckett's my best friend's wife. She's starting a new podcast. It's called Morgan Means Business. And we were talking about business things, but for me, that always trickles into talking about being a husband and a father and Christ and all the things. And somebody commented on one of the shorts when I was talking about this list of responsibilities for a husband and for a wife that they would love to see the list of verses. And so it got me, cranking in the wheels of my brain were turning. I was like, man, I should really do that again. So I jumped on ChatGPT and I asked it to give me every Bible verse that had to do with being a husband. The responsibilities of a husband, the mannerisms of a husband, what a husband should do. And I wrote all these Bible verses down. Now, I do not suggest getting on AI and asking AI what these things mean. Just because I don't trust it like that. So I just have it give me the verses, and then I get in the Word, and I study the verses. And so that's how I did it. And I made this great long list of stuff, and we can't cover them all in one episode. So this is going to be, for the month of January, we are going to work on stewarding our wives. What we need to do to love our wives better, to love our wives in a godly way. And so I took all these verses, I read every single one of them, and I took bullet points out of each one, little, summaries. So I'm going to have the list of verses below. I want you to go read them. The reason why I'm not reading them on the podcast is because I want you to go read them. It is your responsibility as a husband, as a father, as a man to get in the book, get in the Word. So I'm not going to read them to you. I'm just going to give you what they gave me. And then you can kind of compare and contrast because, I can sit here and read this thing like a preacher, but that's not what I am. I'm not really a preacher. I'm just going to, the lessons that I've learned over my life are from my own experiences, and you're going to interpret the Word based on your own experiences. So if I don't, if I sit here and read it to you and you don't get in there and really study it and look at it, you're not going to get as much out of it. So that's your homework. These 3 episodes will be the next 3 weeks. So the first Monday in January is the first episode, and then we'll do 2 more. But I broke basically all these things down into 3 separate categories for a husband, right? I did the same thing for a wife, and we're going to start that the last week in January and move into February. So the next 6 episodes are going to be about husbands and wives, and specifically not for me to be teaching a wife how to be, right? The Bible does that all on its own. The Bible tells a wife exactly what she should be. It tells a husband exactly what it should be. I'm simply going to give you guys the information because I think something like 85% of the people that watch this podcast are men. So I'm gonna give you what the Bible says your wife should be, and what I want you to watch is as you start following the pattern of what the Bible lays out a husband should be, you see if your wife changes. You'll be able to read, we'll go through the list for wives, and you'll be able to think, man, my wife really does that well, or my wife really doesn't do that at all. And what I want you to do is as you start following the King, watch your wife change. You watch her change. It's unbelievable. Because I think my wife does more on the list than even I really understand. But I think it's because I have been chasing God's heart for the last 2.5 years, trying to seek Him, have Him transform me into what I need to be. And I think those things, me seeking Christ, seeking the Lord's heart for me, is what has shown such a change in Kara. over the last couple of years. So the three categories I broke down, I have all the verses here, and all this will be in the description. So I'll put all the verses in every description so you can read them all at once, or one by one, however you want to do it. And some of these bullet points came from the same verse or the same passage of Scripture. So it kind of jumps around the Bible, but there's a lot of men in the Bible that offer advice as far as what we need to be as husbands. So it's very interesting to me. First things first, I'm going to give you my three categories. So it's broke down into mannerisms, heart postures, and acts, like literally things that we should do as husbands. But the mannerisms is where we're going to start today. So mannerisms are simply just how you act in your day-to-day life. And I look at these things as habits. Right? A lot of these things are how we're going to respond to the world. It's how we're going to respond to situations that our wives might put us in, or how we're going to respond to her reaction to something that we do, right? And we always have to be looking at ourselves, right? Extreme ownership of ourselves, and if we are following the plan that God has given us. Because what I found is when I get off in these mannerisms, when I'm off in my heart posture, when I'm off in how I'm acting towards my wife, that's when she responds in a way that I don't appreciate or don't like, right? So we have to be a man worth respecting. We have to be a man worth honoring, right? This is important, and we're the leader, so we have to lead by example. So knowing all these things, these mannerisms, heart postures, and what we should actually do is extremely important. But what I want to tell you is that it's going to be difficult because you're going to be battling your flesh in this, right? Like your flesh is going to be contrary to almost all of these. Your flesh is going to be promoting yourself and not looking to promote her first, right? It's selfishness is what it is what the flesh is. So have a little grace for yourself and some understanding, and then communicate these things with your wife. Literally tell her, like, I am so sorry I've been acting this way for the last 10 years. I had no clue that it said this in the Bible, and I want to do better. And so just understand that I am trying to change my habits. I'm trying to change how I respond to you and to the world and to the stress of life. So we're going to jump into the first one. And let's see here. Let's see if I can find. All right, so this is Colossians 3:19 is where this came from, and it's never to be harsh. You don't be harsh with your wife. Now, some of you might think to yourself, I'm never harsh with my wife, right? And then others that are listening are like, I'm always harsh with my wife. And the reason why you would be harsh with your wife is maybe you had a stressful day, maybe you're been out, maybe she's not being someone that's easy to not be harsh with. Like, these are all real possibilities. But the fact is that we're not supposed to be harsh, and it doesn't give us stipulations to this. It doesn't say don't be harsh when. It doesn't say only be harsh if, right? It says don't be harsh. Never. It says never specifically. So that's pretty easy to follow in theory. It's really easy to say, don't be harsh. It's very hard to do sometimes because your wife, because of proximity, is going to be really close to you all the time. You're going to be doing things together. You're raising kids together. You're talking about work together. You're dealing with money together. And so it's our natural sinful flesh that wants to be harsh about these things. But the word says a husband should never be harsh. So that's what we have to focus on. The second one here is kind of the flip side to the never be harsh, and this is 1 Peter 3:7. It's always be considerate. And that is really hard to do. When you find yourself in a marriage that maybe you've been dropping the ball in for a long time, okay? Or you have your own past and your own wounds and your own triggers, right? it's very, if you stay in this selfish frame of mind, this fleshly frame of mind of like, my needs matter and I need her to meet my needs, it's very hard to be considerate of her and what she has going on. And it literally says, I'm pretty sure, look it up and read it, but I'm pretty sure 1 Peter 3:7 is the one that says, be considerate of her as the weaker species. Which is, that's a strange thing to say, but it's true. Like there's times where your wife might want you to move the couch. It's just easier for you to move the couch. You know what I mean? That's a stupid example. But things that would make you feel inconsiderate of her. Like, gosh, you can't just push the couch around, right? She wasn't built to do those things. You were. It's your responsibility. And that's what these all boil down to, our responsibility, right? It's our responsibility to follow Christ. It's our responsibility to lean on him for our needs to be met. Because that's the deal. If you're focused on meeting your wife's needs all the time, Christ is going to meet your needs. Whether it be through your wife, whether it be through your children, whether it be through the people around you, God will meet the need. You must depend on him. But these first two here are kind of contrast, right? So we're not supposed to be harsh, but we are always, it says always, we are always supposed to be considerate. And that's a giant umbrella. Like, if you look at being considerate of someone's situation, their day, the mood that they're in, what phase of her cycle she's in, right? That's a real thing. If you guys don't know, like, look up the menstrual cycle. Like, the luteal phase is a freaking real thing, man. Like, the hormones in that deal create an environment to where they're dealing with things that we don't understand, and we have to be considerate of that. And I'm going to do another episode after we get through all this stuff with husbands and wives, talking about that cycle, which is a strange thing to have a podcast episode about, but I think it's really important because the way that you love your wife in her different phases of the cycle are extremely important. Like, there's going to be phases where just acts of service is going to make her feel the best. Just literally getting stuff done without being asked. Like, there's a time, and the luteal phase is it, right? And then there's another time where she's going to be more emotional than she typically is. And that is just, it is in her. That's how the woman works. And so we have to know these things, and we have to be considerate of them. The third one on the list, which there's several verses that talk about this, be respectful. And this just makes sense, right? We need to be respectful of her time, her body, her emotions, all of it. You just be respectful. And that's just like a good person thing. Like, good people typically are just respectful of other people. And this can be harder in some seasons than it is in others. But me just saying this out loud to you and you keeping it on the front of your mind is going to help. It's just going to help. And that's what I found in my own walk is like, if I just stay focused on these things and what I'm supposed to be, I start acting more like them. And the less I focus on them, the more the flesh creeps in and the more selfish I become and the more needy I become. You know what I mean? I'm just like just sucking the life out of my wife because I'm feeling needy because I'm not trusting God with my needs and what I have going on. And so focusing on this stuff is extremely important. It's extremely important because the more you read it, the more you talk about it, the more you listen to it, the more like it you're going to act. It's just by proximity, you're going to start thinking in this way. So when you have a moment in your life where you treat your wife disrespectfully, what we're looking for as far as the transformation goes is that it should happen, and it's going to happen. You're going to disrespect your wife. It's going to happen, but your response time to apologize needs to be faster. Like, you need to recognize, oh man, I was kind of an a-hole right there. Sweetie, I am so sorry about that. And as we focus on it more, that response time becomes quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And then the apologizing becomes easier. It's so much easier to apologize, like, after you do it a bunch. You're just like, yeah, I was not acting like my true self right there. I apologize. I'm sorry. And then you just keep pushing. Because here's the thing, man. your wife's going to have some understanding for that. She's going to forgive you because she has moments like that too. And once we go through her list, respectful's on her list too. So if anybody's being disrespectful, it's no good. The next one, pretty easy one. This one goes for mannerisms, heart postures, and acts. They're kind of all in one here, but never unfaithful. Don't cheat on your wife, man. And as a matter of fact, if you got time to run around on your wife and be unfaithful, you ain't got enough to do. Like, get another job. Like, what is that? I hear of people having affairs and all these things, and gosh, I just don't understand. I don't have enough time to take a dump, much less cheat on my wife. That is crazy talk. So that's an easy one, man. Like, I got nothing for you on that deal. Like, truly seeking the king in this, if that's something you're doing, get on your knees and pray. Like, and it's no judgment here. I understand how people find themselves in those situations, but they're all based on you not understanding what God's purpose for you is, and then not understanding what a gift your wife is. And that's even if you have a difficult wife to live with. But I would say that most women, not all women, but most women with their needs met are going to meet your needs. If you follow this to the letter, these 22 responsibilities of a godly husband, these are not the troubles you're going to have unless your wife is just literally running from the Lord. So that's a scenario that can happen, sure. But train your eyes, train your mind, take your thoughts captive. And we all know what the book says about looking at other women lustfully. Okay? We know what it says. And all you guys that go to the gym understand the type of temptation that's out there. All you guys with an Instagram understand the temptation that's out there. Divert. Run from it. That's what the king says. Run from sexual immorality. Don't fight it. Get out. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Take your thoughts captive and move on. So don't be unfaithful. That's a pretty commonly understood mannerism for a husband, right? The fifth one, cherish her. Cherish your wife, man. Like, it is cherishing her is something that will change everything about her. And when I say cherish, I mean every little thing that she does. Around the house, at work, with your children, with you, go above and beyond to express gratitude, right? Like everything. Tell her that you see her, that you see what she does, that you see how good of a mother she is. Tell her. Say it out loud. Write it in a note. See, I'm a letter writer. My wife's probably, I don't think she's ever written me a letter, but it's what I do to express myself. I will sit down and I will write her a letter weekly, bi-weekly. I write them all the time. If I just get a fleeting thought of like thankfulness or I just feel like she needs somebody to love on her, to give her an attaboy, or to express intimacy, right? Like I want to say something to her that has to do with our intimate life, but it's not a good time, I just write it down and stick it on her pillow. Like all of these things, man, are cherishing your wife. You have to cherish her. And this one alone, this mannerism alone, counteracts all the other ones. Like if you are literally giving her an attaboy for everything and it's even the stuff that you're like, well, she just ought to do that. Shut up. Shut up, man. It doesn't matter if you ought to do it or not. Somebody telling you good job is awesome. It makes you feel good. It makes it worth it. It's when people have to do these mundane tasks all day long and no one ever says good job that you get burnt out and you're like, oh my gosh, nobody even gives a crap if I do these things. Not true. If your wife is knocking out the dishes and folding your drawers and keeping the house picked up and cooking you dinner and taking care of your kids, tell her thank you. Tell her good job. Like, It's that easy, man. That's cherishing what she's doing. And if you're in the season of life I'm in, see, I got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. And we're freaking busy, dude. This house is a mess all the time. We're always cleaning up. And we both do it. We both do it. And it doesn't matter that it has to be done. It doesn't matter that it's your responsibility. Tell her good job. Tell her thank you. That's freaking easy. It's so easy. And that alone will go so far in her heart, her mind, and her soul that someone is appreciating her. And maybe that's a better word for cherishing her. Just appreciate her. And lots of things will get solved just based on that. Because if you're like me, an attaboy goes a long way. I'll do a lot for an attaboy. And that's not just for my wife. Somebody telling me good job does something to my soul. Like, I like that. But they need it too. They have to know that you are thankful for them, that you appreciate what they do. So take this one really serious. Let me see what verse it talks about that in. It's basically, the cherish her one is encompassing all of these, right? It's like all of these they just point to appreciating and cherishing and praising your wife. So keep that in mind as you go through the list. The last one we have in mannerisms, and this one is difficult. This one is difficult for men because we do not think this way. We do not act this way with other men, but we should not act with our wives like we act with other men. We should not act with our wives like we act with anyone else on the planet. It's just them. They get this one spot in our heart, our mind, and our soul that they're there to be the most precious thing God has given you, right? We must be gentle. We must be gentle physically, emotionally. We just must be. You have to be gentle with your wife. And they're gentle creatures. If you are married to a woman that is not a gentle woman, it's probably nurture, not nature, right? She's learned to be this way based on her environment. If she is living in a world that's full of turmoil, she is going to harden herself to survive. If you create a world where she is able to be a woman, you can be gentle. She can be gentle. But if we create an environment that there's no trust, there's no real understanding of what's coming home every day, right? It's sporadic. It's like she doesn't know what husband is walking through the door, whether it's a happy one or a pissed off one. She is going to harden herself to this for survival. It's a coping mechanism. It's adapting to your situation. And so if you're thinking to yourself, I can't be gentle with my wife, she's a hard woman, you need to really look in the mirror. You need to really look in the mirror. And I do too, right? I created an environment where my wife had to be a hard woman for a long time and had to persevere through my stupidity. And that's why this stuff is so important to me, because of all these mistakes that I made early, like when we were dating and early in our marriage, where I was not, gentle, and I was not respectful, and I was not considerate. And so I created a woman that was prepared for all these different things, when really what they need to be prepared for is just us to come home and be considerate, not harsh, appreciative, and gentle. And when we create that environment, excuse me, when we create that environment, they're going to respond in the way that they were made to be. They just are. They just are. Another thing I said on Morgan's podcast that I'm going to say here with my whole chest. I'm going to say it with my whole chest. For the video, for the audio, you should treat your wife above your children. You should hold your wife above your children. And here's my reason for that. The greatest gift that I can give my sons, and the greatest gift that you can give your children, is the picture of a beautiful marriage. of a loving relationship, of a marriage that is stewarded by a man who is following the Lord. And it's very, very important that my sons see me love their mother, that my sons see their mother respond to me with respect. And in order to get this, you have to be a man worth respecting. And in order to be a man worth respecting, you have to follow the king, in my book. I can respect a lot of things about what guys do that aren't believers, like hard work, effort, grit, tenacity. But we all know, and if we don't know, I'm about to tell you, that the only way to be a good man is in this book. That's a fact. And if you find yourself wondering how to be a better man, the answer is in the book. All the answers are in the book. And so I love my children deeply, and I think they are the greatest thing ever. But I hold my wife in more respect than them, and I treat my wife like she is more important than them. And I do that because in 10, 15 years, those two rascals are going to have to do that too. They're going to have to. And so they need to know what it looks like to be a good husband, because some poor gal out there is going to decide to marry my sons. God bless her. I pray for her all the time. And it's my job to prepare them for that. And the more prepared they are, the better off she will be. And the best way for a kid to learn is by watching. It's through example. It's through watching a man that can love a woman, make mistakes, apologize, change, seek the Lord. These are all very, very important things that they need to know. And so I said in that podcast, and there were several comments where people were like, you love your wife more than your kids. And I do. But that's the thing about Christ, is he gives you a lot of love. He gives you the ability to love way more than anything else, because it's pure sacrificial love. It's pure service, because my needs are being met by the Father. And when your needs are being met by the Father, you can help meet everybody else's needs. That's why a husband that truly follows the king in his way is so powerful. That's why a father that truly follows the king in his way is so powerful. It's such a stark contrast between the world. It's the light and the dark. So I thought that was very important for me to say this here. If you're prioritizing your children over your wife, don't do that. Because your children need to see you prioritize your wife over everything except one thing, and that's the king. The king is the only thing that takes precedent over my wife. Oh, I love talking about this, guys. I really do. And man, I hope this. If you are a wife listening, send this to your husband. I don't give a crap what he's going to think. Send it. Ask him to listen to it. The Lord will speak to him. I pray for these episodes to go out and meet the people and touch the people that they need to. If you're a husband, listen to this. Send it to your wife. Tell her you're working on it and that you need help. One of her roles and responsibilities is to be the helper. And I promise you, your wife can help sanctify you in a lot of different ways. We just have to maintain the heart posture of listening and being respectful and not getting butthurt when they correct us, right? I struggle with that. I struggle with correction from my wife. And she says all the time, she tells me, she's like, gosh, I just can't correct you. And it's convicting for me. Like recently it has been. In the past it hasn't. Just like, whatever. But right now, it's like everything that she says that I react to in like a pissy kind of way. I'm like, God dang it, whatever, dude, Right after it, I'm like, man, people who hate correction are stupid. It says that in Proverbs. So anyways, Next 2 weeks, next week, we're going to talk about heart postures. And the last one, we're going to talk about what we actually do, the acts of a good husband. Guys, as always, thank you so much for listening. Go subscribe to the new YouTube channel. Just type in Dalton Darnell or the Art of Suffering podcast, and it should come up. But now we got 3 YouTube channels, so it's a little confusing. So there's 310 Ranch Life, there's 310 EDU, and there's Dalton Darnell. So the podcast is now on my personal channel. If you want to follow along, I have a Art of Suffering TikTok. Just type in the Art of Suffering. Or I post all of this short form content to Dalton Darnell on Instagram. So you can look me up there. I have a little bigger following on Instagram personally than I do on the Art of Suffering TikTok. I just started that. But this week we've been getting some pretty... I started the new YouTube channel because I wanted to get in a little different algorithm than just the Cowboys and really just start speaking to men and women, whoever listens, you know what I mean. But trying to find the right algorithm is hard on YouTube and on TikTok, and so I've been getting some comments that like are just strictly from the enemy to piss me off. You know, I had this short this week where I was talking about my biggest fear is being stupid, and I woke up this morning, 3 people commented on it and were like, "You are stupid." I was like, "Yeah, good try, Satan. Screw you, buddy." I mean, it's stupid, and people are hard to love, but that's what we're here to do. So I'm not going to get bent out about it. But the more of you guys that are listening on Spotify go subscribe, the more that the algorithm will push it out to people who actually need it and not just clowns who run their mouth on the internet. The keyboard warriors we've talked so much about on here. So those guys need Jesus too, and maybe it'll plant a seed. Maybe it won't. I know what I'm not going to do is argue my intelligence on YouTube in comments. That is the definition of casting pearls before swine. So I won't be arguing any of their statements. If somebody has something ugly to comment, we're just going to let them comment it and keep it pushing. Turn the other cheek, so to speak, because it is a colossal waste of time to argue with people who aren't going to listen anyway. So anyway, just go check it out. Check out the YouTube channel. The link will be in the description as well as all the verses. Go read them. If you need me, email me at 310edu, or no, excuse me. If you need me, email me at dalton@310edu.com. That's my email address. Guys, thank y'all so much for watching. I love you, and never weaken.